live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com. This is the Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
This is beautiful. I'm trying to track down, is this true? How much of this plan we've been talking about, 710 wind turbines, 36 square kilometers of solar panels in the city, no natural gas appliances allowed, $20 to enter the city with any kind of all of that plan. Those of you who've been listening know what I'm talking about. So, is it real or not? Well, according to Glenn Gower, one city councilor from Stittsville, well, it's not real. We never really approved it, but it's wild because here we go, folks. There's an advertisement. I guess we're the only people in the media that are paying any attention. There is an advertisement, get this, for a project manager to oversee this plan. Project Management Environmental Program is what they call. So the City of Ottawa is hiring a manager for a plan they claim they don't have. Oh, my God. A plan which they have already costed out at $57.4 billion. Let me read you just a little bit from the city's advertisement for a project manager. Like I say, I have no idea why nobody else in the media pays any attention. So this is the, let me see. The Climate Change and Resiliency Team is hiring a project manager to support the development and initial implementation of the climate resiliency strategy. So they keep changing the name on this damn thing. This is a great opportunity to work with multiple city departments, community partners to address Ottawa's climate risks and advance the climate change master plan. Oh, advance the climate change master plan. But they say there is no such plan. So they're going to advance something they don't have. This is beautiful, just beautiful, beautiful. So very briefly, let me just go on a little bit here. City of Ottawa declared a climate emergency in 2019. Key priority of the climate change master plan is to develop a climate resiliency strategy. These guys are beautiful. To date, the city has completed detailed climate projections. Oh, they've completed that. And undertaken a climate vulnerability and risk assessment. Oh, God, it goes on and on and on. The Climate Vulnerability Risk Assessment Report identifies 40 priority risks that need to be... So they're looking for someone. The position will further the development of the climate resiliency strategy, further the development, and identify and support early actions to build a climate resilience. So he goes through a list of all of the things that you want to do. They're looking for somebody who's got a lot of experience. Successful candidate will have demonstrated experience developing, managing complex projects, 5 years experience, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking here at a high income job, obviously well over $100,000 to manage a plan that they say they don't have. It's just mind boggling. And by the way, as you know, 2 days ago, I phoned Glenn Gower. Glenn Gower responded to this program and some other statements claiming, well, no, we really don't have it. Nothing has ever been approved. But in fact, it has been approved. But whether it's the risk strategy or risk adverse, they've got about 5 different names for this, but there is a master plan. And that's the plan that says they're going to build 710 giant turbines, bigger than, by the way, these turbines each are taller than the Peace Tower. 710 within the city limits. 36 square kilometers of solar panels. All natural gas banned in the city. All buildings must be electric powered. no natural gas appliances to be sold. Just some of it. And the total cost, they've costed all of this out. They don't have a plan, but they've costed it all out at $57.4 billion. Now they claim that the revenue from all of this is going to be over $80 billion. Well, I can remember talking with Kathleen Wynne about all the revenue, and Bob Shirelli, who was energy minister, the province of Ontario, and asking them, where all of that, they projected all kinds of revenue coming in. Was going to be 60,000 jobs created with green energy. Remember that? 60,000 jobs were going to be created by green energy. At best, there's maybe 1,000, if that. But so at any rate, I'm still trying to find out exactly what's going on here. Now, John, who is it that's got a very good explanation here as
So
to? Yeah,
I'm sorry.
go
So
ahead.
that's Joe. The information today in the job posting was forwarded to us, and thank you. Joseph Ben-Ami is he's a candidate in Knoxdale ward, and this plan. He's one of two people who brought this to our attention. So I mean, this is a man who's obviously very tuned in to what is happening at City Hall. He's trying to get a seat on City Hall, so he's very aware of what's going on. And so, yeah, it's Joseph Ben-Ami, councillor for Knoxdale ward, who has brought that to our attention. And he says he has another bombshell to drop in the days to come.
Yeah,
So,
I'm waiting. I'm looking for that.
yeah.
He says, and let me just quote this, which may explain some of this. He writes, "I know some councillors are saying that they have not approved the measures included in the plan.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
That's because some of these specific measures may require passing specific bylaws, etc. Think of it like a federal or provincial budget. The legislature passes the budget, but specific items in the budget may still need legislation or changes in legislation to actually implement. Mostly, though, he says, I think the protestations of councillors predicted on their not fully understanding what they were voting for. So, yeah, this is now here it is. If you're going to build 710 giant turbines, you're going to have to expropriate a lot of land, which requires special bylaws, etc. Ditto 36 square kilometers of solar panels, all kinds of expropriations to go on.
Can I just say, because I did the homework on this, one wind turbine, we're talking 710. One requires 8 acres of land.
So it would appear to me
that's huge.
The plan is to take up almost half of the city in solar panels and wind turbines. But the cost of all of this, and this would require law. I mean, there would definitely be lawsuits. If you expropriate land, you're bound to have some people who are going to fight back, lawsuits, et cetera, et cetera. But apparently, all of this has been costed in. One of and we've talked about this before, John. But one of the really disturbing aspects here is that this is flying right underneath the radar. Other than Ben-Ami and you and I here on this program, this project to spend almost $60 billion is not even getting a peep of a mention in any of the mainstream media. And I want to point something out. The city plans on spending nearly $60 billion on windmills, solar panels, etc. Not one single cent that I can see for any form of healthcare. Now, I know healthcare is a provincial responsibility, but there are plenty of municipal aspects, ambulances, long-term care. The municipality does have responsibilities there. Mental health is one area. Homelessness, which is largely a health problem, is a city responsibility. As far as I can see, almost $60 billion for windmills, solar panels, and not a single cent for health care, long-term care, homeless, etc. Now, I know there are other programs that help, but very clearly, this is one of the great dilemmas, one of the great problems. And finally, the media is beginning to address this. The federal government obviously cares nothing about anything. Business, manufacturing, helping people in Europe, helping the Ukraine, doesn't care anything about. All they care about is getting emissions down. That's the number one priority. And now they are joined by the City of Ottawa, which obviously this is the only priority they have. Everything else fades into the background. And by the way, apparently LRT, light rail, broke down again this past Saturday. It's so frequent now that the media, for the most part, just ignores it. And don't forget, why do I raise this? Because we have LRT primarily, if not exclusively, for environmental reasons. It doesn't provide a faster service, better service than buses. No, not at all. In fact, it's in many ways, it's far less convenient than buses. But anyway, that's the situation. I know we've dealt with this before. If there's anything else, folks, that you want to talk about or discuss, please feel free to do so. I'm pleased to see that this whole situation concerning racism and this guy Maroof is not going away. We gave $133,000 to an association which turns out to be just this bigoted, raving racist. And he's been a raving racist for years. But nonetheless, we gave him $133,000 to lecture the media on how to avoid racism. So this is not going away. And by the way, they said, oh, well, we didn't give it to Maroof. We gave it to this association. But the association is Maroof and his wife. That's it. And apparently, Hassan, our federal minister, didn't know this. It is just, the whole thing is just so mind-boggling what's going on here. Like, does anybody care about the economy of this country? Does anybody care about jobs in this country? Does anybody care about bringing people from Afghanistan, from Ukraine to rescue them? Does anybody care what's happening in you? No, apparently not. No, it's all fades into the background. All that matters, getting our emissions down. I mean, let's face it, we provide 1.6% of all the Earth's atmosphere emissions, right? We got to get it down to at least 1%. John, that's my rant this morning. It gets pretty frustrating. What are people saying here?
Lots of great comments coming in. We've got a call from Calgary, actually. Our first call through is 613-413-2217. Larry in Calgary, you're on live with Lowell Green. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
What's going on in Calgary, Larry? Yes, sir.
Well, I'm painting the fence at the rental property. But that's,
you and Tom Sawyer painting a fence. Good for you.
Yeah. But I listen to your show every day. It's great. Yesterday, I don't want to say I was offended because I wasn't. I just didn't like you calling someone stupid, because that may have been his last resort, and we don't know what the guy yelling at Freeland was.
Can I tell you something, sir? I don't retract that at all. Anybody that stands there, anybody that stands with his bloody undershirt and starts cursing at a woman is stupid. The act is stupid, and he's stupid. Go ahead.
I agree with you there.
But I can't believe that of all the things going on, that's what bothers you the most out in Calgary.
No. Geez.
Okay.
I've almost forgotten what I wanted to talk about because
okay.
While I was on hold, I was getting riled up about everything else you're talking about.
Okay, you go ahead.
We're not listening. We're not paying attention to why Freeland was in Alberta to start with.
No.
Why is she there? Doing is she's changing some boundaries for a caribou herd, and she's lowering those boundaries so they are going to encompass all the oil and gas. So that land will now fall under federal jurisdiction, taking it away from the province, and therefore it's encompassing all the oil and gas.
Really?
Which means for anybody to do anything in that area, you have to get permission from the federal government, not the provincial government. So this is the subject that we should be paying attention to.
No.
Some redneck in a
Sorry. Excuse me. Let me ask you a question. Is this widely known in Alberta?
Not yet. I just saw something yesterday morning about it, and someone sent it to me on TikTok, and I went, holy crap. And I haven't had a chance to research it anymore.
I'm going to, with all due respect, I'm going to have to check that out. There's a lot of false information. Yeah. But you know what? This I will say. It would not surprise me. These liberals are the most greasy, slippery bunch of bastards that I have ever seen anywhere in elected office.
Yes. I wouldn't put it past them.
No.
The RCMP knew about this guy, so I wouldn't put it past them that somebody went along and say, here's a few grand, go yell at her.
Well, you know what? That's certainly in the realm of possibility.
I think I've watched too many movies, and I'm too much of a conspiracy theorist.
Sorry.
Anything anybody says to me.
Sorry, all I know is that this kind of thing builds support and sympathy for the Liberals. That
yes,
I am opposed to. Thank you for your call. Good. You know what? I'll check into this.
Okay. No, thanks very much, Lowell.
Thank you, sir.
Keep up the good work. Thanks
I
very
will,
much.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Larry in Calgary. John, what have we got here locally?
We'd love to get a call from you as well. 613-413-2217. Larry, thank you. And if you're ever out this way, I can find plenty of work for you to do if you're any good at that painting thing. All right, let's go to comments from earlier. Donald says, City Hall is nuts. Coraline says, where is Ottawa getting the money for this? Well, as we discussed, from you and me, right, Lowell?
Well, let's just, obviously, this person hasn't perhaps been with the program. Okay. Here are some of the areas that they're going to get money. Your money. I mean, where's the money coming from? There's only one source. It's you.
That's right.
Okay, no matter what it is, it's you. Cost to be covered by $118 car registration per year, tolls to travel on all city streets, all cars, trucks must be tracked with GPS, daily fee of $20 per vehicle just to enter the city of Ottawa, permit to park on city streets. That's some of the revenue, and I've just touched on the tip of the iceberg here. Go ahead,
the GPS tracking, by the way, we don't get into that much, but what they're doing is they want to limit your movement, and anything over a certain amount, you'll be charged for that.
Well, yeah, if they're going to charge you tolls, the GPS will indicate where the tolls take effect.
That's right.
Yep.
Don't understand why Canada's so worried about emissions, says Brian. I read today that we are still mining coal to export to China and Asia to burn, all so to the tune of millions and millions of tons. Then we import millions of tons of coal from the USA. What the hell, he asks.
Well, let me just clarify that. City of Vancouver is the #1 exporter of coal in North America. Some of that coal that is exported from Vancouver is shipped up, believe it or not, from the United States, because the United States doesn't want to ship coal to China. So instead, this is hypocrisy at its utmost. So instead of shipping coal from the United States to China, the United States ships coal to Vancouver, which then ships it to China. I mean, the hypocrisy of these environmentalists is just astonishing.
That reminds me of once when I was in Vegas and I was having a good time in the sports betting area, and the server asked if she could get me anything else, and I said, what I'm really in the mood for, you can't get me. I would like a Cuban cigar. And she said, hang on a second, what kind of Cuban cigar? And I laughed because you can't get Cuban cigars in the States. I said, a Romeo y Julieta. Sure enough, she shows up with a Romeo y Julieta. But what the Cubans have done, Lowell, is they've sold their seed to the Dominicans, who can then sell the Romeo y Julieta cigar in the States. So it's the same damn thing.
But here it beats the hell out of me. Here is Vancouver, this great, environmental leader of North America. Stop the pipeline and so forth. Oh, we can't have a pipeline. But they're North America's #1 exporter of coal. And a big chunk of it goes to China and a big chunk of it goes to India. Between the two of them, produce more than 50% of all the Earth's CO2 emissions. Go ahead, John.
All right, listen, we got a lot of great comments to get to. Let's get to those in just a moment. But first, how about a word for Shields? Yep.
Yeah, one of the things about Shield, there's no hypocrisy here, folks. These people are upfront, square. If they give you a price, that's it. If they say the delivery is going to be this day, that's going to be it. Now, if there's a major blizzard, 1,700 feet of snow, they maybe not. But other than that, it'll be there. They're good people. Shield Furniture and Appliances also has just been approved as the licensed dealer for Sony. So any of your requirements in the way of technologies, they're now the Sony dealer for the Ottawa Valley and for Ottawa. So please keep that in mind. I always mention the fact that, listen, this is a local firm, family owned since 1947. They've got 90% of anything you would want in appliances, all the different brands, makes, colors, sizes, et cetera, available in stock. Shields.ca. Go ahead, John.
You had to bring up snow, did you?
It's coming.
Sam's got a question for you here, Lowell. How do I apply for this job that does not exist?
Well, just apply to the city. It'll be on the city's. And by the way, one thing about they don't list the salary, but with all the requirements they've got, you can be sure this is a very highly paid job.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. And it would require a hell of a skill set, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
So here's an email from Rob in Carlton Place. By the way, the email address is lowell@blasttheradio.com. We're seeing California and Germany getting crushed by the rush towards green energy. And here is Ottawa going full speed ahead, apparently thinking they can do it better. All this green energy madness makes me wish for the good old days when all we had to complain about was giant rubber ducks floating up the Rideau River.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that, right? Whatever happened to those that giant duck? It's still around, I think.
It has to be. Well, what are we paying to put that in storage and keep it in storage? That's the next big story we uncover. Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
To Twitch and Laurentian View Terry, $57 billion through the back door at City Hall. Isn't that just great?
Now, by the way, in this regard, I haven't got time to read everything I've got here, but there is already a very large, and you can be sure, very well-paid department at City Hall dealing with all of this. I just want to keep that in mind. I can't really find the title because there's so many different descriptions here. The climate change and resiliency team, hiring a project manager to support the development and initial implementation of the climate resiliency strategy. They throw in all of these catchphrases. Climate resiliency. It's go ahead, John.
Well, that goes back to a conversation we had in the early days of COVID, you and I, where I said, "Can we just get plain English from our government?"
Yeah. It's like the word sustainability. Everybody is using the word sustainability. What the hell does sustainability mean? I'll never forget Steve Madeley and I several years ago went after the city. They had a sustainability, community sustainability department. And we interviewed the city councilors all of the time. And every time we would say, what is the community sustainability department? What do they do? Nobody knew. Guess what? Within about 3 months, it had been folded. But did they fire anybody? No, they just put them in another department. But no longer is there a community sustainability department. But I mean, that's the kind of bullshit that goes on. You know, my grandpa used to say, you know what, Lowell? Bullshit baffles brains every time. And it's sure true here.
Sam actually just made that comment moments ago on Facebook. Really? Bullshit baffles me brains. Yep,
okay. So it's not only my grandpa then. Okay.
Nope. Apparently, that's a grandpa thing. All right, listen, Facebook, you are either following The Lowell Green, Milkman Show, or Blast the Radio. Post your comments where you'd ordinarily post your comments. We're also on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter, and now on LinkedIn as well. And again, the phone number is 613-413-2217. And while I've got your attention, please share. These are unbelievably important conversations. Like Lowell says, this whole thing, $60 billion. The City of Ottawa, this is not province, this is not federal, this is City of Ottawa, $60 billion. That's you and me with an election coming up. It's a conversation that
and
voters
we're the only ones talking about it. We're the only ones talking about it. So, if the newspapers don't want to pick this up, television, etc., then please do your share. And by that, I mean share.
And the question is, where's mainstream media on this? Well, I mean, I've talked about this before. I mean, I used to go into City Hall and do a podcast for them. Why? Because it was articulated by councilors that they never see mainstream media in City Hall anymore.
You know, it's too bad we lost Sue Schering because she'd be
right?
all over this. Right?
Oh my God! Yes, yes, great point. All right, yes, we do miss Sue Schering. Joshua says they keep changing the name in hopes that we won't know what it is. Advanced Climate Change Master Plan, Cripple the City Master Plan is more like it.
You got that right.
Cripple the City Master Plan. All right, James says they don't report it because they're all on board with this climate insanity. Plus, don't want those checks from the PM to dry up. Corleen says the turbines will probably be as big as the ones in North Stormont, which is 600 feet base to top of blade. 600 feet. There you go.
Let me. This is something that I should know, but I assume that those giant turbines are plastic.
No.
What else? What else could they be? Aren't they
carbon fiber?
Carbon fiber?
Yeah.
But whether it's plastic or not, isn't that a derivative of fossil fuel? Isn't that from oil?
There would certainly be some plastic parts in there, 100%. Not the least of which would be the coating on all the wires.
No, but I think I could be wrong, but I suspect that the structures themselves are oil. They're a derivative of oil.
Okay. We'll look into that for tomorrow's show. We'll have an answer for that.
I mean, plastics are, as you know, is fully derived from oil, etc. And I would suspect that these are pretty well oil products. Go ahead, please.
Here's an interesting remark from Barbara on Facebook. If what you are telling us is not true, why isn't there anyone at City of Ottawa telling us what is true? Where is everyone? She asks. Great question, Barbara.
Yep. Glenn Gower, the city councilor for Stittsville, did respond saying that it wasn't really true. And yet in his letter, it turns out that in fact there is a plan and it's been fully costed out. How can you say you don't have a plan when they've costed it all out? And they're now hiring a project manager to advance the plan. I mean, he says, well, it hasn't been implemented. But as Ben-Ami says, yeah, because a lot of this stuff requires special legislation, requires extra bylaws and so forth, and those have not been. But listen, if you say we're going to build 710 wind turbines, that's part of the plan. Now, you can't implement it until you actually get the land, expropriate the land, et cetera, and that is yet to be done. That's probably what he's talking about. But the plan is there very clearly.
Okay, so is that their kind of get out of jail free card then? Oh yeah, there's a plan, but it's not actually a plan because we can't implement it until certain laws are passed, and then the plan will actually be the plan.
What gives them away, and I've said this 100 times, is the fact that they have fully costed this out. You can't cost out something that you don't have. Go ahead.
Did no one attend the meeting about this last night that John talked about? Asks Hazel. If anyone attended that meeting last night, we'd love to hear your summary of that. By all means. I do have video, by the way. It's a very bad video, but it was a YouTube video taken at the first meeting, the one that we did not know about. I'll try and acquire the second video as well and break that down for you a little. David says there's nothing made by humans that isn't made of oil or made using oil or transported using oil.
Well, there's a few things, but he makes a very good point.
Over to Joshua. Think I'm going to write a letter to the editor of the Citizen and the Sun about this and see if anyone picks it up as a mass letter to the editor campaign. May be a good idea.
Good. Yep. Good.
Yep.
You can do that.
You can.
Absolutely.
You can. Is the editor the same at the Sun and the Citizen, or are they two different people?
I believe there's two different people. I hope so.
Same owner, two different. Yeah, I hope so too. They won't expropriate land. They will just find willing, greedy landowners to put them on their land, says Coraline. Catherine Kingsley says it was 1 turbine per 100 acres in the rural areas south of Ottawa. So I said it was like 8 acres per. So she says it was 1 per 100. That was the plan there. Over to Twitch, Tina Marie. I hate that they aren't focusing more on healthcare. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer a few weeks ago, and I'm waiting for a consult for surgery. It took them 9 months just to get me my ultrasound. Ugh. Kevin says, I bet Jim Watson will be involved with the Green corporations after he leaves. He is setting it all up in advance. Okay. The general population hasn't got a clue what's going on, says Coraline. Kathy says, is it true that Marouf's father is a diplomat who lives in Montreal?
Well, he was, and probably still is, but I know that he was. You're quite right there.
2 more comments, and then we can wind things down for a Wednesday. Don't forget the Lowell Green Show podcast is also out there, so if you ever miss an episode, just ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. Let's not forget the hundreds of thousands of tons of concrete used for the turbine basis. And finally, an email from Paul in Canada who says, Lowell, regarding the City of Ottawa plan to, quote, go green, it seems to be following a similar path to what is happening in Toronto. Their Transform TO plan apparently includes an eventual ban on natural gas appliances, stoves, water heaters, etc., and by 2030, they plan to penalize homes that still have them. My guess would be that there are plans for more than the $400 million electric buses and windmills in Ottawa, so buckle up your seatbelts.
Well, it is very true. As a matter of fact, one of the things, and I've talked about this, and the media has reported this, and that is that the City of Ottawa has passed bylaws which increase requirements for new home construction, because of the environment. And the city admits that it's going to add 20% to the cost of building a new home. So in one breath, the city council says, we got to do something to create more low-cost housing. And then in the next breath, they pass a law which increases the cost of construction of new homes by 20%. This is what we're dealing with at City Council, folks. This is what we're dealing with. Thank you all. Back tomorrow.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.